Welcome to Time Warner Cable's exclusive coverage of the 2010 International Comi-Con. While you might be watching some of your favorite superheroes on our Movies on Demand, these guys are in line to see some of their favorite superheroes in real life. But we're going to skip the lines and I'm going to take you inside. We're going to find out what Comi-Con is all about. With over 100,000 people from all over the world, along with thousands of international exhibitors and vendors, all converging on downtown San Diego, the convention floor can look like its own small city. And with tickets for this year's con sold out last year, the San Diego Comi-Con is the place to be for your movies, TVs, comics, and so much more.
When we started in 1970, we had a focus on comic books, fantasy literature, and actually movies. One of the first films we screened was a revival of Othello by, oh my gosh, by Citizen Kane director, what's his name?
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles, exactly. And there's always been a film element, but what's happened in the last few years especially is we're starting to get a lot of big Hollywood talent, a lot of A-list talent. But comics still rule here. We have more comic book creators, publishers, and fans than any other convention in the United States.
You guys have maybe thousands, probably different vendors and exhibitors. What are some of the things that people can actually expect from the Comi-Con experience?
Well, you know, again, every comic book publisher is here. There's game manufacturers, there's toy companies, TV networks and movie studios, comic book retailers, people who sell fine art, booksellers. There's about 1,000 exhibitors on the floor. They take up the entire convention center, and you can literally find something that'll, I think, pique anybody's interest.
With so many things crammed into one convention, it's really easy to forget how it all got started. Comic books. And whether it's a medium-sized press like here at Dark Horse Comics, or the two big ones, Marvel and DC, Comi-Con has you covered. You can have a Green Lantern movie without a Green Lantern comic book.
Absolutely, and Green Lantern's been a character for DC now. Honestly, there was one version from the 40s, we reintroduced him in the 60s, and we helped basically reinvigorate him in the last few years right now, and he's barely breaking out to be one of our top characters at this time.
And really what he got, the big storyline you guys just did with him was the Blackest Night storyline too. He's kind of like, you know, elevated to Superman and Batman status now.
Yeah, and I think that's what's exciting. We always felt that Green Lantern had some real incredible potential. We've always believed him. He has a long history, has a long fan base, and this was really nice to see him start to break out in this fashion. Jeff Johns, who was the writer of Green Lantern since we reintroduced him in this Rebirth storyline that we did about 3-4 years ago, has really taken and really helped re-energize him for a brand new audience, and I'm glad to see people getting as excited about him as we are.
You guys pulled in a whole new audience for Iron Man with the Iron Man movies, and you guys have 2 more movies coming out this next year, so can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We've got Thor coming out next year in May, and then Captain America, the First Avenger, coming out in July right after that. It's part of our Avengers Assemble initiative, where we're kind of bringing together some of our top characters, culminating in the Avengers movie coming out in 2012. So we're real excited about it. Thor is going to be the next one. All these movies, as you've seen, are interconnected from what you've seen in the Iron Man movies and the Incredible Hulk movies. We kind of laid little Easter eggs and connectivity, and that's all going to be coming to fruition through over the next 2 years.
And kind of a device that's used very often in comic books is that connectivity, that continuity that's built up. Speaking of comics, what do you guys have going on for comics-wise?
Well, right now we just came out of Dark Reign, which was kind of about a 7-year period in our comic books where we were having, you know, a bit of turmoil between some of our characters and such. Right now we got the Heroic Age, which just started up, and it's more about heroes being heroes again, fighting the villains. There's still a lot of turmoil and fighting going on, but it's more the heroes teaming up together now and taking on the villains and then, you know, fighting for a better day.
If you're buying comics here at Comi-Con, one of the things you should look into is getting them graded so you can maximize your profits in the long run. With me is Vincent from metropoliscomics.com, and it looks like that's one of the things you guys do.
We do. We sell a lot of graded comic books, CGC graded comics. Yes, absolutely.
Now, let's talk a little bit about what CGC is. Can you explain what that is?
Basically, it's a third-party grading system, whereas before comic dealers would grade a comic book and sell them, and buyers would buy them. What it's evolved into is you now have a third party that will grade the comic books. They have nothing to do with the buying and selling of the comic books, so there is an unbiased opinion as to the grade, and it becomes a more standard practice where people say, oh, okay, that's in a holder with an 8.0 on it, that's an 8.0, and I can buy it at a certain price. Whereas in the past, sometimes maybe the dealer didn't spot restoration, or the buyer didn't spot restoration, or the book was misgraded because there was something was missed. Now you have 3 experts grading it and a restoration expert doing a restoration check and then encapsulating in a holder so that nothing else can happen to the book afterwards. And that's how it's done.
Sounds like a little bit of a lengthy process. What are some of the specific things, you got some examples here, that they're looking for when they go to Graded Comics?
Sure. Well, let me show you a couple of books. First one is Amazing Fantasy 15. This is the first appearance of Spider-Man, everybody's favorite character, I think, right?
That's my personal favorite.
There you go, I knew it. So basically with Spider-Man, this comic book, let's say, before CGC grading, or let's say even right now, if this wasn't in a holder, it would be very difficult for me to get the top dollar price on it. With it in a CGC holder, guys who have money that want to buy this comic book but don't necessarily know how to grade it very, very well will be more confident to buy this book in a holder. And they'll spend the $150,000 it would take to buy it.
And to get a 9.0, you were talking about really almost mint condition here. No bent corners, no discoloration.
Yeah,
what kind of things?
Only very, very minor defects on the book.
Comic-Con has something for everyone. New comics, old comics, the latest TV and movies, anime, and superheroes. And if you want to get your superhero fix, check out Time Warner Cable's exclusive Movies on Demand with all kinds of superhero goodness. For Time Warner Cable here at Comic-Con, I'm Noah Park.